Hey y'all, my name is Chelsea and we talk all things cozy personal finance here without the shame and without the guilt. So today we are going to be budgeting the second paycheck of October. I was gonna say November. I'm a little fast. I'm on a whole different time apparently. I got my cafecito ready, so let's go ahead and get started. All right, starting off with our goals, and we have our trusty computer with us for reference. The first one is low spend month, and we are very much deep in the trenches with this one. As I mentioned last video, I know some people do a no spend month, low spend month. I'm pretty sure they're the same because you have allowed expenses for the month, like bills and like groceries and gas and stuff like that, that you allow for yourself. You allow yourself to spend money on those occasions. But I like the sound of low spend better. It gives less restriction. So that's what we're doing for this month. Like I said, we are very deep into it. By the time I am recording this, it is the 25th. So I don't know how October flew that fast. That's probably why I almost said November. That's crazy. So anyways, we're deep into it. And I think I only have one no spending day. One. And I've done these challenges in the past and I've had like a goal of keeping it under 8, a goal of keeping it under whatever. I think maybe like 5 or something like that. And I have one, and the month is almost done. Like it's like, this is the last week. I'm so proud. Somebody give me a trophy. So we are still deep into it. And the key of making these challenges successful is making sure that you're realistic with yourself, which is something that I preach all day, every day on my channel. Let's be realistic, because if you're not being realistic, you're not going to be able to sustain what you're doing, because this money stuff is not a one and done. It is a rest of your life type thing, girl. Rest of your life, okay? With that being said, you need to be realistic. And with this challenge, I find it when you are realistic, you allow yourself to succeed. You set yourself up for success. You allow yourself to do what you need to do, and without that guilt and shame that we don't like. So my allowed expenses were obviously bills. I needed to keep the roof over my head, gas, groceries. So I had to raise my grocery bill for this month, which will be reflected in the future part of this video, since I wasn't going out to eat as much and stuff like that. But I also did allow myself to still go on pre-planned events. So these things were already on my calendar, and just because I was doing a low spend month didn't mean that like now I just drop everything that I already said I was going to do. I still allowed those things and spending there. I am not going willy-nilly and just like swiping every 2 seconds. That is not the goal. I'm still being very mindful when I am out and when I am at these events. However, I wasn't going to be like, oh yeah, I'm on a low spend month, so I'm not gonna go to X, Y, and Z that I said I was gonna go to. That wasn't gonna happen. And the second goal was to have $100 of rollover money. And we already did it. We already did it. I'm so excited. I'll talk about it in the income section, but we were able to hold on to a good chunk of change this last pay period, and I'm so proud of myself. So super happy about that, but we achieved that goal. And then the next one was the balance transfer. If you're new here, I was doing a balance transfer because my Apple credit card was eating me alive with the interest. And I was really working on really transferring at least a huge chunk of that Apple card balance out of the Apple card. And they're funny. I'll say this, they're funny because we did it, right? There's a little bit left in there, but that I'm not worried about. However, as soon as the transfer started happening, all of a sudden my credit limit increased. Bye. Anyways. And then the last goal was to send $200 to my emergency fund, which I was able to do. So it's looking like a wonderful October so far with my goals. So let's move on to income. For income, I did get the $21.71 that I was expecting for my second paycheck of October. And then also you see rollover here. So last pay period, I had about $35 of rollover. Actually, it was a little bit more, but I left some in my checkings account as a buffer. But okay, so we ended up with the $35, and this pay period, you want to know how much we rolled over? $85. $85. So that brings us to a whopping $120 that we were able to roll over. And what I mean by rolling over is any of the expense money that I do not use from the previous pay period, I roll it over into the next pay period, and I budget it either into a savings account or to an extra credit card payment, which I ended up doing a little bit of both here. So now let's move on to the bill section. So the bill section honestly kind of looks the same. I think the only difference here is the giving category. And I had planned to do something different with the way I allocated money for my savings and for extra credit card payment. However, with the climate of this world and how everything is unfolding, I felt it was more important to reallocate things and to switch things up so that I can give a little bit more with this paycheck. So what I ended up doing was adding on a little bit more to giving, and that went straight to a donation that's already made and that already happened. With how things are going, it is really devastating to see, let alone I can't even imagine how it feels like to be living through those things yourself and to be directly affected by it. So yeah, I truly feel like food, human rights, like shouldn't be things on the table for discussion. It's really chilling to see what is happening. So that's what I decided to do with my reallocation there. With the giving money in general, I do have it in my cash wallet right now. So I am using a cash wallet for all of my, or most of my expenses. I'm choosing to do that because it seems that a lot of people are saying that using cash is less convenient as card. It makes you spend less money. So I'm trying that out. I think I'm doing it for October and I might do it maybe for November. We'll see how long it lasts. We'll see how long I stick to it. But so I have that giving money in cash right now. So if there's a scenario where I can give in person, I can do that. And I think the goal for me this month is whatever I don't use or give or anything like that, I will deposit back into my checkings account and I will donate it in some way, shape, or form. And I think that's what I'm gonna do for every month. If you've been with me for a while, you know I've been like very back and forth with the logistics of how giving is going to work, but I think that's what we're gonna do. So now let's move on to debt. And with debt, I don't think anything changed here. The only thing that did change was that I was able to allocate an extra little bit to my extra credit card payment field. And so that is updated here. Next up, we have expenses. This has changed. Because I am on the low spend challenge, I'm not really spending as much on like spending or anything like that. The category that I'm spending the most money on these days is groceries because I'm eating at home instead of eating out here and there because I'm normally eating at home. But I found that I'm going out, especially with cash, I was like going out to grocery stores more. And of course, the grocery stores that I go out to and like actually grab all my stuff instead of doing like a drive up, they're a little bit more expensive. So I just wanted to set myself up nicely. And of course, if I don't use it all, it just gets rolled over into the next pay period and I can decide what I want to do there. I did allocate a little bit more to groceries and I allocated a little bit less to gas. I'm noticing just in general, a trend that I'm seeing is that I'm not really using up as much gas. I work from home, so I don't think allocating, I think the usual amount is $65 every pay period. I don't think that's really necessary. And also I have my other categories, so if I need to pull from there, it's more like a buffer almost, I can do that. So I decreased that a little bit to $50 this pay period, and spending went down as well. Again, I'm on a low spend challenge, so I'm not really trying to fund that as much. Now let's move on to savings. So originally I had a little bit more money dedicated to the travel high yield savings account. We decreased that and we reallocated it towards giving because that's more important. And I did add a little bit more towards my emergency fund, so that is reflected here. And of course, you know, we have to show off our monthly budget breakdown because that did change slightly. So here it is, and this just shows you a breakdown of how your income was allocated based off of how you enter the information on my budget dashboard. So it auto-populates it for you, and this is what mine is looking like for the month of October. And last but not least, the question of the video. So I've noticed that at least here, it is getting darker earlier, and that's kind of putting me in a little bit of a funk. But my question for you is, what is one self-care thing that you do for yourself when you are in a funk or when you're not feeling 100% yourself? What is something that you do for yourself that makes you feel even 1% better, but that you're always reaching for this one thing or this one action or this one ritual to make yourself feel better? Let me know in the comments below. If you like this content and want some more silly lifestyle content, and if you want to see how I'm doing on my low spend challenge, make sure to go follow me on Instagram and TikTok at budgetwithchelsey. And if you loved this video and want to see more, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And we'll talk soon. Bye.